we are going to be starting on the ground. So we're going to start seated. Okay, so the first thing let's do when we get here is do a little bit of pelvic mobility, rolling back and then coming forward. And then we're gonna stay up and tall with our pelvis versus kind of sinking back. So move towards the front of the pelvis. And we're gonna start with just turning the toes in and out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick one leg. We're gonna do both, so it doesn't matter which one you start with. We're just gonna start with a lift and a lower. We're gonna do about 5 repetitions on one leg with toes just straight up. And then after that 5th repetition, then you can go over to the other leg. Now, once you've done 5 on each side, then we're gonna turn our toe out and create that lift. And then again, we'll do the other side. Okay, then from here, you're gonna get your block that you have, or if it's a pillow, and you're gonna take it, just kind of separate your feet, take it right in the middle. We're gonna pick one leg and we're gonna lift it up and over to the other side. So the whole time that we're doing this, keep your torso up versus starting to sink back. Okay, so start to stay up nice and tall. If you have the ability to change the heights, add more height. Maybe even getting it to its highest variation. Okay, let's then switch to the other leg, same thing. And then start to change the variations as you go. And we'll do just a few more. And then we'll rest. You're gonna take, again, one leg, doesn't matter which one. We're just gonna slide the heel in and then extend it out. So now taking the work kind of off of what you're doing at the quadriceps and getting more into inner thigh. Okay, let's switch legs. And then we'll keep the legs wide here, and let's roll the toes in and out. And then just letting the toes come upward. Let's add a half circle, flowing from one side to the other. Okay, then from here, let's take it onto all fours. Again, we'll take that block that you have, and you're gonna bring it to the, let's see, you're gonna take it in front of the right knee. So what we're gonna do here is you're gonna lift up, you're gonna tap the knee, tap down, lift, tap. So you're going to be utilizing these obliques to create the lift and do the tap. All right, now let's add just a big extension behind us of that right leg. All the way through, tap it, extend back. And maybe you want to try to bring that knee, or not the knee, the block closer towards your wrist. So your knee has to come in a little bit more towards the front of the body. Okay, last one. We're gonna tuck the toes under. We're just gonna add some big movements here, sweeping up. And then hands are gonna come down, and we're gonna pull the shoulder blades together. Slide them apart, come onto our heels, sweep up, come back down. Okay, this will be our last one. And then we're gonna take that block in front of the left knee. So just a little bit in front of it. And we'll bring the knee up and back. While you are moving the leg, I want you to notice your hands and see if you can spread them wide. Try to take the thumbs towards each other. Okay, now let's take and add that full extension back and then tap it in. Then maybe moving the block closer towards the wrist. Okay, releasing here. Take the backs of the hands down, opening up the hands really wide. Let the arms be straight here. And then make a fist with your hands. And then we'll open them right back up. Okay, now what we're going to do with our block is we're going to take it to the outside of the right knee. So now you're going to go up, over, back. So now hip mobility, core engagement. If you're finding it hard to go all the way across, you could just do a tap up and down if you want. Okay, with our next one, we're going to stay with the right side, but what you're going to do is you're going to elongate this block away from you and out a little bit from your leg, so that when we go straight, you have to hop over it to get to the other side. So you might even want to do a higher height, which is going to require more mobility of your hip here. In this particular movement, I want you to watch how you start to lean towards the left. So keep the arms vertical. Keep this left leg vertical as you're moving. Okay, let's rest. You can do toes tucked under and sit back on your heels, or tops of the feet, whichever one that you prefer. And we're just gonna come into a wrist stretch. So we're just gonna take one hand forward, gently draw the fingers back. And we're gonna take that hand down. And then we'll switch it to the other side. And then again, hand down. Okay, we're gonna switch this now. Left leg is gonna be our mover. So on the outside of the left knee, and then you can just tap on top, or you can go all the way across. Okay, now let's come into that full leg extension. And again, you can vary your height. Okay, 2 more here. And then we'll release. We're gonna come up onto our knees. Right leg is going to come forward. Okay, before we even think of moving forward, what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw our tailbone down a little bit. And then we'll start to bend into that front knee. Okay, so we're gonna just hold right here. And as we do that, we're gonna take the left arm and create a reach across and then come down at our side. Now as this arm reaches across, hold it. And then we'll release. Take and switch it over to left leg forward. Again, we're going to correct the pelvis, so we're going to draw the tailbone down a little bit. And now we'll add that arm coming up and over. Okay, we're going to do one more time on that side. And then we're going to take and move to the right side again. This time when the right foot comes forward, tuck the back toes so that foot is in flexion. Okay, so tailbone's going to drop down again here. And then we will pull the right hip back just a little because the right hip kind of comes forward. So pull the right hip back a little. Right arm's going to come straight up. Okay. Think about reaching up towards the ceiling and trying to grab something off the ceiling. And then from here, lean across. You start to move the right knee forward just a little bit. And then hands are going to come down in front of this right leg. And you can be on fingertips or fists. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick the back knee up. And then we're going to just bring it down and up. Try to draw your shoulders back. Open up the front of the heart. Okay, one last time. Dropping down onto that knee. Switch legs. Right toes are going to be tucked under here. Get your pelvis set. And then we have arm going straight up and reaching across. Maybe even reaching back a little bit. Then as the hands come down, again, we'll pick up the back knee, drop it down. All right, release. Okay, from here, we're gonna come down onto our stomach. And you can do fists in front and rest your forehead, or flat palms, rest your forehead, whichever you prefer. We're gonna start with the right leg, and we're going to bend the knee and just straighten. So that's our movement right here. Then we're going to keep the knee bent, and we're going to rotate it to the left and rotate it to the right. But our hip isn't moving, so we're not rotating our hip with it. Both of our front hip bones should stay in contact with the floor. We're trying to move the femur independent of the pelvis. Okay, now take the foot straight up towards the ceiling. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to lift the kneecap off the floor, tap the kneecap down. So lift, lower. So now it's an activation of the hamstrings. Glutes are going to be recruited a little bit. Okay, let's release that side. Let's go to this whole series on the other side. So bend and straighten left knee. Okay, now knee staying bent. Rotate the heel right to left. And now knee center, try to lift it up and release down. All right, releasing there, hands down, press back up onto your knees, standing up onto the knees. Torso is going to be tall here. We're going to rest the tops of our feet. We're going to start with just leaning back and coming forward. Okay, last one. Okay, left leg is going to come in front of us. Tuck those back toes. We're going to take right arm And you can actually do both arms if you want. Reach them up and then lean towards the left, maybe back a little bit. Okay, as you're holding this, start to track the left knee forward slightly. And then we're going to take the hands down. Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to take this back leg and we're going to bend it and then let it rest. Okay, now come up. So hands might be on your thigh. You could also do like hands, one hand on a block, one hand on your thigh. And now what you're going to try to do is, can you bend the back knee? Can you bring that heel up? And do you have any ability to bring it up and maybe grab the heel? So when you grab the heel, what might start to happen is you take your pelvis and you tilt it forward, okay? So you need to keep your pelvis in neutral, tailbone down, as you would try to grab that heel. Okay, let's release. Come and switch to the other side. So start with the back toe tucked under, both arms up overhead, and then you can lean across and maybe back a little. And then we'll start with the hands down first, and we'll try to that bend and straighten of the back knee. Okay, then let's come up. And again, pelvis neutral, see about bending and straightening the back leg. And then if you want to, trying to maybe grasp onto the heel, maybe even trying to hold it for a breath or two. And then let's release. Okay, so from here, we're going to come back onto our stomach, but you're going to grab, if you have that strap of some sort, we're going to loop it around the left ankle. Okay, so you want it on the left ankle, and then you're going to make your way down onto your stomach. And you can have, again, one hand in front of you to rest your forehead or make a fist. And then you're going to bend that left knee. Okay, so the left knee may have slid out to the side. So you're going to draw the left knee straight back and even kind of tug it towards the right leg. Now, for some of you, this alone is a really good stretch, and you might just want to stay here. Now, some of you might be able to change the grip of your hand and maybe add a little bit more of a grip onto the strap, and maybe even bring your hand really close towards the heel. Or some of you don't even need the strap, and you can draw the heel towards the hip. So you're gonna pick where you want to be here. Now, as we're holding, something that our body does is we kind of pick up our hips. So your pubic symphysis, we kind of call it the pubic bone, right at the front of the pelvis, at the base of the pelvis, that should stay in contact with the floor. So what that means is you actually kind of have to tuck your tailbone down a little bit to maintain the integrity of the pelvis here. If you want to add a little different variation, roll the heel out and across the body. So that right to left action. Okay, you can undo your strap, take that leg long. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bend the knee and bring the knee up. Okay, so our pelvis is still flat on the floor, and we're just gonna bring that knee up. Okay, take a few really big deep breaths into the belly. Feel the belly and the rib cage press down into the floor. And now from here, start to straighten out that left leg. If your hips and inner thighs allow you, you can inch that leg up a little bit. So it's like you got a 90-degree angle with your legs, but it just depends upon your left inner thigh. See if you can let your whole left side of the body, so left shoulder, left pelvis, everything sink back down towards the floor. Okay, we'll bend that knee and then extend your leg straight back. As you do that, add a little wiggle side to side of your pelvis to just let the lower back soften. And then hands coming at your sides, push up, because there's really no easy way to get the strap onto the other foot. So we got to set ourselves up onto the other side. So it'll take us a while to kind of get us there. So again, once you get down onto the floor, bring the knee towards the extended leg. And we'll just work on drawing that heel towards our hip. Trying to keep our pubic symphysis, again, that bottom part of the pelvis connected to the floor. So a little drawing down of the tailbone. And now let's add maybe a little rotation of the heel in and out. And then from here, let's allow that strap to come off. And then we'll come into a bent knee as we start to open up the inner thighs, big deep breath into the belly. And now let's start to straighten that leg out. Trying to press your sole of your foot towards the side wall. And letting the whole right side of the body melt here. And then we'll take that leg back. This time, let's press back into extended child's pose to lengthen out the lower back if it's feeling a little compressed here. We'll then come up onto the knees. We'll stand up onto the knees. We did this one a little while ago. We're going to try it again, see if we can move back a little bit more. There's a little bit more freedom in the quadriceps. And last one. Okay, now we're going to transition up to standing. So you can come all the way up. Okay, the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to keep our left leg on the floor. We're going to take and bend the right knee. We're just going to start with a movement up and back of the right knee. Okay, now let's add a circle, and then you're going to circle the other direction. Okay, take that leg down, other side, forward and back. Okay, let's add that circle one way and then switch it. All right, release that. Go back to the first side. And what we're going to do is we're just going to bend and then tap down. Bend, tap. Last time, switch it to the other side. Okay, last time. Now you're going to grab your strap. Okay, so please, let's all do the same leg. So let's do right foot. So make my directives easier. So right foot, and when you grab the strap, you're going to do thumb to the outside. So like thumb facing back. And what that's doing is it's going to open up your shoulder versus gripping it like this, where your shoulder would be internally rotated. So we're going to do kind of turn your palm open, grab onto the strap. Okay, I should have said this to you before you got strapped in. This can be either a stretch or it can be all about balance. We want actually to be about a stretch, not about balance. So if you need to find something that you can hold on to so you don't have to worry so much about balance. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bend the knee and we're going to bring that heel up. And you might have to adjust your hand on your strap. Okay, so we are going to stay in this for a bit and I'm going to add several different things to add to it, okay? So the first thing is to notice where your knee is in relationship to the other leg. And likely for a lot of people, it's like how mine is right now, where the knee has gone forward. So I want you to pull the knee back so it looks like you have one leg. Okay, so now that's one variation. I got to kind of shimmy here. The other one would be that the knee goes out because it's trying to bypass the quads. So make sure your knee is straight down. Okay, your hips from side to side should be the same height. Okay, now we're going to check our pelvis, because what happens when our quads are tight, our pelvis does this. It tilts forward and our belly drops down. So you're going to draw your tailbone down a little bit, which now may mean the knee went forward. So you got to draw the tailbone down, keep the knee in alignment with the other leg. Okay, if you're still not feeling a whole lot of stretch happening in this quad, sneak your hand down even more. Or you have the option to add this. So what you're going to do is you're going to push your shin and your foot down to the floor. But as you're pushing down, you're actively using your arm to pull up, and it's called dynamic tension. So you're pushing down and pulling up at the same time. Okay, release that. That was a long hold on that one side. Okay, so let's get ourselves set up on the left side. So again, turn your palm open when you grab the strap. All right, so start to stand tall, knees together, and you should have one leg instead of seeing the knee in front of you. Okay, let's draw our tailbone down a little bit, correct your pelvis. Maybe take your hand closer to the foot or add that dynamic tension of pushing down and pulling up at the same time. Take about 2 more breaths. And then we will release that. Okay, great. Let's come down onto the floor. You're going to take and have a seat. I know quad work is not necessarily the easiest. It's hard. A lot of us are very tight in the quads. Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to take the right leg and we are going to bend the knee, bring it behind us, okay? And then bring it out in front. Initially, as you start this, you're going to do a big like teeter-totter effect over to the side to get your hip and to work on hip mobility. Try to see if you can minimize the amount of leaning as you go. The other option that you have here is when I'm bending, my toes are facing out to the side. What you can also do is you can use your hand if you need to flip your toes back and get your pelvis situated on both sit bones, and then take it all the way in front of you. So you could try that variation if you wanted to. So heels on the outside of the hip. And if your hip, knee, and ankle are able to do this version, you could even add a little lean back, which will, for some of you, be a quad stretch, and then come out in front. If you're doing the leaning back, I'll face towards the front. If you're doing the leaning back, make sure your knee's not way out here. You want your knee, just as we were doing it standing, where the knees come towards each other, you want to do it this way as well. Okay? So do a couple more, whatever variation works for your body. Some knees maybe won't allow some of this, and that's okay. All right, let's switch to the other side. Okay, then maybe start to add the toes pointing back to it. Then maybe if you're doing the toes pointing back, maybe you add that lean as well. Okay, let's do one more, and then you can bring your legs forward. We are going to take the right leg and we're going to bring it out to the side, and then you're going to take and bend the left knee. Okay, so it kind of looks like a Z to some extent here. And you can keep the back leg like this, or again, you can tuck it, tuck the toes back if you want to. Either way is fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to lean forward. And then you have that option of leaning back. And you can add a pause in either of these and just hold and breathe if you find that moving one direction is particularly tight. And if this right leg being bent back doesn't work, you could just do a straight leg as well. Okay, so if that doesn't work, and then if you were doing it with your toes turned out, maybe try a few of them with the toes back. Okay, let's unwind that. Switch that over to the other side. And then again, add whatever movement you want to add. And again, if you were doing the toes turned out, maybe you want to turn the toes back. All right, and release that. Okay, we're going to do one more for the quad. I'm going to show you kind of how to get set up here. So if you have a yoga block, or again, if you have pillows, that will be really helpful here. And what you're going to do is you're going to separate your feet, separate your knees, and you're going to take the block or the pillow kind of right where your heels are. And you can actually sit down onto that block. So the feet are to the outside of the hips, their hands are the outside of that block. Again, knees are facing forward, not splayed out to the side. Another option is if this is really hard on your knees, you can put a blanket or a pillow. You can kind of sneak them behind your knees so your knees aren't in such of a deep bend. So that's an option as well. So some of you might just want to stay here, and this is enough of a stretch for the knees, the tops of the feet, ankles. So you have that imitation. Others of you may want to add a recline back. So if you're going to do that, your hands are going to come at your sides. And when you start to move back, you have to change your pelvis. So you have to lift your pelvis up and you have to tuck the tailbone under. Because otherwise you're going to get a really weird curvature in your back. And then you can kind of walk your hands back. Some of you might be able to like rest your elbows down onto the ground. So you can kind of pick how far you want to go back here. You also have the option to not use a block, not use a pillow, and have your hips on the ground. Do the same thing. Tuck the tailbone, and then start to maybe make your way back. What you'll notice though is as you make your way back, your knees go apart. They start to splay out to the side. So you got to keep your knees straight forward. All right, let's come out of that. And we'll come into straight legs. Okay. And I know quad work is it's not the necessarily easiest. You can give your quads a rub here, maybe even coming down towards the knees. You can do just flat hands, or you can like use your knuckles and kind of go down the quads. Okay, here is the next thing that we're going to do. I want you to take and notice your kneecaps. So your quads directly impact your knees, and they directly impact the kneecaps. So what I want you to do is I want you to engage your quads. So squeeze your quads, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull your kneecaps up, and it's going to lock your kneecaps in place, where your kneecaps, if you tried to move them, they're not able to be moved. And try to relax your quadriceps, maybe and kind of shake your legs a little bit. And what you'll see is, for some of you, your kneecaps will have moved down slightly. Instead of them kind of being pulled up, they'll be down. And if you take your hands on your kneecaps, some of you will be able to wiggle your kneecaps around. Okay, let's try that again. Squeeze the quadriceps. Your kneecaps will pull up a little bit, and they'll be locked in place where they can't move. Kind of relax the legs, you give them a shake. Try to get the quadriceps to turn off. And then see if you can move your kneecaps. Now, some of you are probably going, when I shake my legs and get my quadriceps to relax, my kneecaps still don't move. And that may just because your quads don't know how to fully release yet. Okay, sometimes you have to practice this a lot. So let's again squeeze and then try to relax the legs. Try to get the kneecaps to soften. Get the quads to stop doing work. The quads take over a lot, and they do the majority of the work, and that's why they're so tight for a lot of us. Okay, so again, let's engage again and relax. The quadriceps actually take over a lot more work than our glutes. So a lot of us have really weak glutes, mostly because we sit a lot, and then our quads are really tight. Okay, so try to engage them again. Do that a few more times. Try to engage them. Try to relax them. Just see if you can get the quads to kind of quote unquote turn off, stop having tension. Okay. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna come onto our back. As you do that, come into bent knees. You have an invitation to put something behind your head to lengthen out your neck. All right, as we get there, let's separate our feet a little bit. Actually take your feet to the outside edge of your mat and then drop your knees together. So let's take a few big breaths with the belly, feeling the belly lift. And then slowly let that go. Okay, then letting the knees come apart. Drop your knees towards the left. So it's another kind of a quad stretch, also kind of into this outside of the hip. If you want, you can pick the left ankle up and set it onto the right knee to give a little leverage. And then let's let's let go there. Drop your knees over to the right. And then you have that option of bringing the right ankle onto your top of your knee. Uncrossing, bring the legs long, flex the feet, engage the quadriceps. Okay, next breath, relax the legs, and again, give them a little shake. Try to relax the quads. Okay, again, let's add engagement. So flex the feet, squeeze the quads, and then relax the legs, give them a shake. And then we're just gonna let the legs stay relaxed here. Take your arms at your sides, turning the palms up. We're gonna take about a minute of breath here. Big inhales, belly, rib cage inflate, and really slow exhalations. If you were finding it really hard to relax the quads when we were sitting up, really think about your quads right now and see if you can let go of any tension within them. And then with your next breath, bend one knee, doesn't matter which one. Bring that heel up towards your pelvis and then drop your knee out to the side for an inner thigh stretch, but we're doing it on our back now versus on our stomach. And then let's take that knee up, extend the leg long, switch sides. Kind of notice how the whole pelvis starts to roll towards the bent knee. So you can even take your hand onto the opposite hip and just encourage your pelvis to not roll to one side. Let's keep this leg right where it's at. Bend the other knee, bring the soles of your feet together. You might have to move the feet away from your pelvis. Drop both knees out to the side. And then from here, bring your knees up. And then if you want to, maybe bring both knees into the chest to reset the lower spine here. And then you can roll onto your side and bring yourself all the way up.